Hi guys, Mr. Sonnenberg here. Today this is for Science 9 students that are studying the third unit, Environmental Chemistry. This is going to be topic 1 in your textbook, and today we're going to be talking about inorganic substances. So last time we talked about organic substances being those substances that contained carbon. Today what we're talking about are inorganic substances. So they are actually the substances that are going to, or they don't contain carbon. So anything that doesn't contain carbon, we're going to talk about how plants and both animals and us, we all use these inorganic substances. We break them down and we can convert them into usable forms for the basis of our living. So inorganic substances, if they're destroyed by cooking, we call those minerals. And we'll see that right here. And we'll talk about why minerals are important. So minerals are an important part of a special protein molecule in our bodies that we call enzymes. And remember, enzymes from the last unit are a form of a catalyst, okay? And they help to speed up chemical reactions. So they're in our bones, okay? These special proteins, these minerals, special protein molecules in our bones, and they work together with vitamins, okay? So vitamins right here, and they actually help the special proteins do their job. So basically, we take in these minerals, and they're a part of the enzymes. Okay, so minerals are a part of enzymes. They're a part of the enzymes, and enzymes need vitamins to function. So the vitamins help the enzymes, and then the enzymes are a part of the minerals in our bones. So we take a look at two types of these essential elements that are in our body. So let's take, or in our body, but also in plants. So let's talk about plants right now. So they obtain carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen from the air, and then nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and sulfur from the soil. So they need those 9 essential elements to survive and to grow. So there's actually 9 elements that they need, and those 9 elements are listed right here. Okay, so what I've just talked about. But those 9 elements that are essential for growth and living within these plants, they're called macronutrients. Okay, and macronutrients are needed in large quantities, which will be important to remember. But they're essential for the plants to grow. So if we want this little tiny seed to grow into a stem and then to grow into a full plant with leaves and maybe flowers, okay, we need those 9 essential elements for that process to occur. But there's also other elements that are needed along the way, but they're just needed in smaller quantities, okay? So that we don't need such a large quantity, and we call those trace elements. And we'll talk about both of those right now. So what we have are these mineral requirements in these plants, and we also have mineral requirements ourselves as well. But a macro mineral, which remember is more of, or it's needed in a large quantity, okay, or a quantity, we can also use the word amount. Okay, so we need large, and then this is a small amount in these trace elements. So remember that oxygen, hydrogen, phosphorus, potassium, those were all macro. And then these trace elements, we need less than 100 milligrams a day, or these plants also. And macro minerals are more than 100 milligrams a day or more. So we get that less than, so this is the small amount, these trace elements, and then the macro minerals are the large amount. So remember, when we have minerals, they're actually enzymes are part of those minerals in our bones. Okay, and these are special proteins. Okay, so special proteins. Okay, in our bones. And remember, enzymes are a form of a catalyst. Okay, or they can be. All right, and then we have vitamins, and vitamins actually help enzymes to function in the body. So they're all needed, and we can see how sequential they are. These vitamins will help the enzymes to function, and enzymes are proteins that are important in the formation production of these specific minerals. So what are nutrients? So nutrients are things that are produced by plants, but then they're modified or changed, or we could say converted, okay, or converted by animals. So that means basically that if I was to take this plant, okay, and I eat, and the plant grows, then it's consumed by an animal, okay. We're actually passing along nutrients where that arrow is. Okay, so nutrients are being passed along to the animal, and then we eat the animal. Okay, and again, those nutrients are passed along through that arrow as well. So it goes from the plant to the animal to the human. Okay, so plant to the animal, from the animal to us, and we pass on nutrients in a sequential manner. Or if we were to eat the plants directly, then those plant nutrients are passed on from the plant to us. So nutrients in our body. So once we have ingested or consumed those nutrients, what happens to them? Well, what happens is the nutrients are actually transformed. So again, what's transformed means changed and added to other substances. So we take in the nutrients that we need from the plants or from the animals. The animals take them in from the plants, and then we actually change them and convert them, okay, into complex chemical substances that we need to survive. And remember, those in organic compounds were the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and then we have vitamins. And vitamins actually, remember, they're going to aid in the function of enzymes in our body. So some types of these nutrients that I've talked about, especially these macronutrients, and that's what these would be, are macronutrients. Okay, so I'll just write that down here, macronutrients. Okay, so these are, oops, these are in large quantities. Okay, large amount. Okay, so things like calcium in our body. How do plants need it in the body, and how do humans need, or how is it needed in humans? How do they use it? So in plants, calcium helps to build the cell walls. And remember, plant and animal cells are different because plant cells have cell walls and animal cells don't. And it helps in cell division. So cell division, mitosis, meiosis. Okay, nitrogen in plants. It's in the protein in the chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll is used for photosynthesis. It helps the stems and the leaves to grow. Then we take the element sulfur, and how does it help plants? Well, it helps them to produce the fruit and grain or their seeds for reproduction. So we can see how these nutrients actually help out plants. But if we look on the human side, how are these elements and nutrients needed in humans? Well, calcium is going to help build strong bones and teeth. Okay, also helps to form blood clots and muscles and nerves to work properly. So how do our muscles and nerves work? Calcium plays a role in those functions as well. And nitrogen is in the protein, and it helps our bodies to grow and repair tissues. Remember, that's what protein does. It helps the body's structural components. And then sulfur is in protein, and it helps to detoxify, and that means it's going to remove any harmful chemicals from our body. So very essential nutrients that we take in, but you'll realize that there are many different elements in our body that we use the nutrients and are used in our body to help us to function. So again, just a few more: phosphorus, potassium, magnesium. So importance to plants: root and flower growth, cellular respiration and photosynthesis. That's for phosphorus here. Okay, and in humans, it actually helps the composition of bones, teeth, and DNA, which is where our genes come from. And it also helps metabolic reactions, so it helps us to burn fats, and it helps us to for reactions to occur. Potassium actually is going to, in plants, it's going to stimulate early growth, so it's going to help it to grow faster. It helps the plant to resist disease, and it also helps in the production of chlorophyll, which is used for photosynthesis, which is a really important process in plants. But in humans, it helps muscle contraction and nerve impulses. So we actually really use potassium, and you'd learn this in high school biology, how potassium is used to conduct nerve impulses in our body, and the importance of it along with sodium. Magnesium in plants, that's again, it helps cell wall structure and cell division, whereas in humans, it's again the composition of bones and teeth, and then absorption of calcium and potassium. So it actually helps aid the absorption of some other crucial uh, elements within our body. And then it leaves us, so those are macronutrients in large amounts, but then it leads us to trace elements which are in small amounts. Okay, so we don't need large quantities of these. So these are things such as chlorine, so it helps to regulate water balance, plays a role in the cell membrane function, and it's part of the hydrochloric acid in the stomach that helps digest food. So that's how it's going to actually help in both or it's going to help in humans and in plants, but we talk about digest food, and well, in humans it's going to help with the hydrochloric acid that's going to help us to break down and digest food. Iron is a crucial part of the red blood cells, regulating oxygen transport. So those red blood cells are round with large surface area, and their job is to collect oxygen. Oxygen that we breathe in is diffused into our circulatory system, into our bloodstream, and is transported to our cells to help grow, rebuild, and function. Then we see zinc right here, which is another trace element, which is a small amount, less than 100 milligrams per day, and an essential component in enzymes, which regulate formation of proteins and carbohydrate metabolism. So basically what that's saying is that it's a huge important role in enzymes, which are catalysts, which can speed up chemical reactions, break things down, and also they can form the proteins which help us to build and repair our muscles, and also carbohydrate metabolism, which is the breaking down of carbohydrates and burning them and using them as a useful form of energy. So this, guys, is a quick run through of the inorganic substances in both plants and animals, and how they can cycle from plants to animals to us. Also talking about the difference between macronutrients, which are in large quantities in both plants and animals, or talking about trace elements, which are in smaller components. But I want you to take a look at and understand that these elements that we studied in the last unit are actually in our body, and they have specific functions, or they aid specific functions in our body and processes, and they help us to function on a daily basis. But we don't just naturally have these, we have to transfer them from plants and then animals, and when we consume those plants and animals, they're actually passed on to us, and through these forms of bioaccumulation and biomagnification, so which we'll talk about in the next screencast. But hopefully this has helped. I'd like you to make sure that you have written down notes on these subjects, and if you have any questions, please bring them to class, and make sure you ask as we go through these topics for about 10 minutes to start class. Anyways, guys, hope that helps. That's inorganic compounds. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.